Aerobic respiration takes place only in the presence of oxygen. This type of respiration is more common in higher organisms and it happens exclusively in mitochondria. In aerobic respiration, carbohydrates like glucose undergoes oxidation and produces carbon dioxide and water. During the process of oxidation, large amount of energy is released and this energy is simultaneously used in the synthesis of ATP molecules, which are energy currency of the cell. These ATP molecules from mitochondria are then transported to cytoplasm so that cell can perform various functions. In this video, we are going to see about what actually happens to glucose during aerobic respiration and why energy is released during the process of oxidation and how this energy is utilized in the synthesis of ATP molecules. When a substance undergoes oxidation, it shows gain of oxygen or loss of electron or hydrogen. Similarly, when the substance undergoes reduction, it shows loss of oxygen or gain of electrons or hydrogen. During biological oxidation, carbohydrates first reacts with water, undergoes degradation. Then there is removal of hydrogen with subsequent release of carbon dioxide, because after removing the hydrogen you have only the left out is only carbon dioxide. This reaction is said to be oxidation reaction because there is removal of hydrogen from the substrate. For any oxidation reaction to occur, there must be simultaneous occurrence of reduction reaction as well. So, this hydrogen that is removed is taken to oxygen where it undergoes reduction and then forms water molecules. The second reaction is thus a reduction reaction because oxygen accepts hydrogen. So, biological oxidations are nothing but redox reactions where there is reduction as well as oxidation. In the case of glucose, when it enters into aerobic respiration, it reacts with water molecules. There is release of hydrogen in bound forms and there is subsequent production of carbon dioxide. These hydrogen that are removed are taken by NAD plus or FAD, that is coenzymes. Through the coenzymes, they are taken to electron transport chain. Then the oxygen that is present in the terminal position of electron transport chain acts as terminal electron acceptor and they also take protons from the matrix of mitochondria and produces water molecules. So here glucose undergoes oxidation and forms carbon dioxide, whereas oxygen undergoes reduction and then forms water molecules, and only these will be there in the net equation of aerobic respiration. So the net equation of aerobic respiration will be glucose plus oxygen producing carbon dioxide and water. So this equation will represent only the reactant that has undergone oxidation or reduction and the products that are formed after oxidation or reduction. So glucose undergoes oxidation and forms carbon dioxide. Oxygen undergoes reduction and then form water molecules. You understand what happens to glucose actually during the process of biological oxidation? Now we will learn why energy is released during oxidation of glucose. Aerobic respiration involves number of redox reactions. During these reduction-oxidation reactions, there is gain or loss of electrons. So during these reactions, electrons are transferred between the molecules. Electrons have their own potential energy and this energy they lose during these transfer. That is why redox reactions yield energy. If you see, electrons have more potential energy when they are associated with less electronegative atoms like carbon or hydrogen, whereas electrons have lesser potential energy when they are associated with more electronegative atoms like oxygen. Electronegativity of the atom tells about its affinity towards electron. Normally, oxygen have more affinity for electrons. If you see oxidation of glucose, their electrons from carbon-carbon or carbon-hydrogen bonds of glucose are removed and are transferred to oxygen. This is the reason why more energy is released during oxidation of glucose. But if it happens in a single step, most of the energy will be wasted as heat. So in living cells, normally removal of electrons and transfer of electrons happens in several small steps. Now we will see how this transfer of electrons happens and how the energy that is obtained in different steps are harvested for synthesis of ATP molecules. Consider the space enclosed within this white boundary as cell and the one that is enclosed within pink as mitochondria. This pink line represents outer membrane, white line represents inner membrane. Space enclosed within the inner membrane is mitochondrial matrix, and the space between the two membranes represent intermembrane space of mitochondria. Aerobic respiration in eukaryotic cells involves 4 steps. First step is glycolysis. About glycolysis, I have discussed in detail in a separate video. During glycolysis, glucose, which is a 6-carbon compound, undergoes splitting or breakdown and forms 2 molecules of pyruvate. Pyruvate is a 3-carbon compound. For aerobic respiration to take place, pyruvate has to enter into the mitochondrial matrix. Though oxygen is not directly involved in the process, presence of oxygen is essential for entry of pyruvate into mitochondrial matrix. The pyruvate that enters into the matrix enters into the second step of aerobic respiration, that is link reaction. During link reaction, decarboxylation as well as dehydrogenation happens to pyruvate, and that results in the production of acetyl-CoA, which is a 2-carbon compound. The 1 carbon that is removed during the process is released as carbon dioxide molecule. Now, this 2-carbon acetyl-CoA enters into the third step of aerobic respiration, that is TCA cycle. TCA cycle is nothing but tricarboxylic acid cycle. It is also known as citric acid cycle or Krebs cycle. During this process, the 2 carbons of acetyl-CoA undergoes oxidation and is released as 2 carbon dioxide molecules. So if you see, from 1 pyruvate, 3 carbon dioxide molecules are released. As glucose produces 2 pyruvate molecules, totally 6 carbon dioxide molecules are produced during this process. That is about carbon dioxide. Now we will see about hydrogen. During oxidation, rather than pulling electron from covalent bonds, cells remove electron by removing hydrogen, as each hydrogen contains 1 proton and 1 electron. Instead of pulling all electrons at once, cellular respiration strips them away in pairs. So, 24 hydrogen atoms will form 12 pairs of hydrogen atoms. This removal of hydrogen atoms is catalyzed by group of enzymes known as dehydrogenases. From the name itself, you will know these are enzymes that are involved in removal of hydrogen. These enzymes, after removing the hydrogen, transfer them to their coenzymes like NAD+ or FAD. Coenzymes are nothing but non-protein organic substances that are essential for enzyme activity. Now these NAD+ and FAD which acts as electron carriers because they are going to carry hydrogen, accepts electrons and protons that are supplied to them. And forms reduced coenzymes. NAD+, though it has 2 electrons and 2 protons, it accepts only hydride ions. Hydride ion is nothing but 2 electron and 1 proton. Because already it has 1 positive charge, it accepts only 1 proton and forms NADH and H+. This proton can be let into the solution. FAD accepts 2 electrons as well as 2 protons and forms FADH2. As there are 12 pairs of hydrogen atoms, 12 reduced coenzymes are formed. These are called as reduced coenzymes after they accept hydrogen. As a whole, in aerobic respiration, 2 NADH molecules are formed from glycolysis in the cytoplasm. 2 are formed from link reaction and 6 NADH molecules are formed from TCA cycle. Apart from that, 2 FADH2 molecules are also formed from tricarboxylic acid cycle. If you add all these, it will come to 12. So, 12 reduced coenzymes are formed that accounts for removal of 12 pairs of hydrogen atoms. Now, these reduced coenzymes have to reach the inner mitochondrial membrane where they have to donate their electrons into the electron transport chain, which is the 4th step or the last step of aerobic respiration. Though I have drawn electron transport chain only in this portion, the complexes involved in electron transport chain are present throughout the inner mitochondrial membrane, including the cristae. NADH molecules that are produced within mitochondrial matrix, they diffuse through the matrix and reaches inner mitochondrial membrane. FADH2 molecules, they need not travel a lot because enzyme that has produced FADH2 itself is integral component of electron transport chain. But those NADH molecules that are produced in the cytoplasm, they cannot directly enter into the mitochondria. Instead, through shuttles, they transfer the redox equivalents into the mitochondrial matrix. From there, they are taken to the electron transport chain. Once these reduced coenzymes, they donate the electrons into electron transport chain, they get oxidized. Again, they go back to different steps, accepts redox equivalents, undergoes reduction. They come to electron transport chain, donate the redox equivalents, undergoes oxidation. This kind of repeated oxidation and reduction happens till there is oxygen in the terminal step of electron transport chain. If oxygen is not there, regeneration of coenzymes will not happen. The reaction that are there in the step 2 and step 3 will not happen inside mitochondria. Even in the absence of oxygen, NAD regeneration happens in cytoplasm when pyruvate molecules, that is the end product of glycolysis, enters into fermentation. Is it clear up to this? Now we will move on to the last step in aerobic respiration, that is electron transport chain. This is the portion I have enlarged here. This pink line represents outer membrane. This shaded white line represents inner membrane. The space between the two membranes represents intermembrane space, and this portion represents mitochondrial matrix. The entire purpose of electron transport chain is to transfer hydrogen to oxygen, thereby resulting in reduction of oxygen to form water molecule. But this do not happen in single step. Let us see how it happens. If you observe, those things that are shaded with green color, they represents complexes that are involved in electron transport. These complexes are arranged in increase in reduction potential. Reduction potential tells about its ability to accept electrons to undergo reduction. So in electron transport chain, NADH acts as electron donor and oxygen acts as terminal electron acceptor. Of these four complexes, complex 1 accepts electron from NADH and complex 2 accepts electron from FADH2. Only electrons are allowed to enter into the membrane as the membrane is impermeable to proton. Now, these two complexes pass on electrons to ubiquinone. This ubiquinone then pass on the electrons to cytochrome C reductase. We call this complex as cytochrome C reductase because it reduces cytochrome C by donating electrons. Now cytochrome C donates electrons to cytochrome C oxidase. This complex is known as oxidase because it oxidizes cytochrome C by accepting electrons. Now, from cytochrome C oxidase, electrons are directly delivered to atomic oxygen. This oxygen accepts electron pair and takes protons from matrix, resulting in the production of water molecule. For every single pair of electrons that passes through the electron transport chain, one water molecule is formed at the end. As 12 electron pairs are obtained from 12 reduced coenzymes, 12 molecules of water are formed during this process. When electrons are transferred from one carrier to another carrier, they lose their potential energy. This energy is used to pump protons from mitochondrial matrix to the intermembrane space, as they normally cannot penetrate through the inner membrane of mitochondria. For every single pair of electrons that passes through the electron transport chain, 10 protons are pumped into the intermembrane space and 2 protons are utilized in the formation of water molecule by reducing oxygen. These protons that are getting accumulated in the intermembrane space creates not only proton gradient, but it also creates electrochemical gradient as it is charged. These protons that develops proton motive force and they try to enter into the intermembrane space, and that is made possible only by this complex which is known as ATP synthase. ATP synthase has a stalk-like portion known as F0 and a headpiece-like structure known as F1. When protons they enter through the conducting channel of ATP synthase, that is through F0, they create rotational energy. With that energy, ATP molecules are synthesized from ADP with inorganic phosphate. This kind of synthesis of ATP is said to be oxidative phosphorylation. During this process, energy for ATP formation is obtained from electron transfer. This is how ATP molecules are synthesized during oxidation of glucose. For every single glucose, 32 to 34 ATP molecules are formed. These ATP molecules are then transferred to cytoplasm so that cell can perform various functions. This number actually represents number of ATP molecules that are formed by oxidative phosphorylation. In aerobic respiration, apart from oxidative phosphorylation, substrate level phosphorylation also occurs. From substrate level phosphorylation, 2 ATP molecules are obtained from glycolysis and 2 GTP molecules are obtained from TCA cycle. Though GTP has its own functions, any time it can be converted into ATP. Whether oxidative phosphorylation or substrate level phosphorylation, both needs energy and source of phosphate. In oxidative phosphorylation, electrochemical gradient and chemiosmosis serves as energy source, and the phosphate is provided from inorganic phosphates. In the case of substrate level phosphorylation, it occurs only in those reactions which provides enough energy for direct phosphorylation of ADP, and the source of phosphate is from substrate intermediates. So if you add the products of oxidative phosphorylation and substrate level phosphorylation, you will get. This is how you get 36 to 38 ATP molecules from one molecule of glucose during aerobic respiration. But generally, this is not practically realized. This is because This electrochemical gradient is also used for active transport of inward movement of pyruvate, ADP, and inorganic phosphates from cytoplasm into matrix, and outward movement of ATP from matrix into cytoplasm. That is, all essential metabolites that are needed for ATP synthesis are transported from cytoplasm into mitochondria, and after transport, ATP is exported from mitochondria into cytoplasm. So practically, the number of ATP molecules that is obtained per glucose may be lesser than this. Now, have you got an idea about aerobic respiration? As already there is a video on glycolysis, in the next class, I will move on to the second step of aerobic respiration, that is link reaction.